Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, let's make a start. So this morning, our aims and outcomes for our writing session are to be aware of how text and the purpose of a text affect tone and the register used, to know the difference between formal and informal writing, to be aware of levels of formality and supply supporting evidence in your writing. You should be able to attempt a tone choice in your writing and use the correct register. And you could be able to use specialist words in your writing. So what is writing style? So at level 2, you need to be able to adopt a style of writing which is appropriate for the task. So you need to know what style of writing to use for the task you are given in the assessment. And this skill requires you to understand the audience and the purpose of the task. So you can see that there in that visual. So you need to know the text purpose and understand the audience. And that will lead you to adopt the correct formality and tone. The combination of this is known as the register. Okay, so it's the purpose, who it's for, and the formality and tone. So when you text, one of the first things you need to do, sorry, just hold on, there we go. One of the first things you need to do when starting to write a text is to decide on the formality. And we're going to watch a video to tell us a bit more about that.
Formal and informal writing. Sometimes your writing will have to be more formal in tone. For example, if you're applying for a job or writing a letter of complaint. The formality of writing depends on your audience and the message you want to convey. Think about how you would speak in a face-to-face conversation with the person you're writing to, and then try to match that tone in your writing. For example, you would chat differently to your friend than you would your teacher or manager. So what are the differences between formal and informal writing?
Formal writing is direct and to the point, whereas informal writing can be conversational. Formal writing is grammatically correct, whereas informal writing may use slang, abbreviations and contractions. Formal writing uses an impersonal tone and discusses topics with gravity, whereas informal writing may use an emotional tone and often discusses topics with humour. Formal writing uses the correct punctuation, whereas informal writing may use dramatic punctuation, such as dashes and punctuation marks, or it may flout the rules of punctuation altogether.
Let's look at an example. First, a formal article.
The Kodiak bear is a subspecies of the brown bear. It can weigh up to 635 kilograms, making it the second largest land-based carnivore after the polar bear. Now the same information written informally.
They may look cute and cuddly, but don't be fooled. The Kodiak bear, closely related to the brown bear, is a 635 kilogram killing machine. In fact, it's second in line to the biggest meat-eating animal in the world, the polar bear.
Note the use of dashes and exclamation marks, and the contraction of it is to it's.
To recap, informal writing can be conversational, often flouting basic grammar rules, whereas formal writing is precise, factual, and grammatically correct. To determine which to use, consider your audience and the message you want to put across.
Okay, so the video has given us a bit more information. So formal or informal. So what makes a text formal or informal? So first of all, what? What is the text trying to achieve? If you're applying for a job, you're going to need a formal approach. An article, so a magazine article, for instance, or a newspaper article could be formal or informal, depending on the purpose and the audience. So in the examples we saw about the bear, we could have two different magazines. Perhaps if we think of National Geographic magazine, there's a main magazine which is aimed at adults, so the audience is adults, and that might have more formal articles. And there's also a kids version of that magazine, so the bear information would be presented more informally. Even though it's the same information, the writer has changed their approach because of the different audience. So carrying on, what makes a text formal or informal? The audience. So if you know the person well, the text is likely to be informal. If you don't know the person, or in a job they are senior to you, then the text is likely to be formal. So if you think of sending an email, if you send an email to a friend, it's informal, using contractions and more speech-like language. Whereas if you were sending an email to your boss at work, then you're likely to use a formal, more formal language. So tone. Informal writing may be emotional or humorous, but formal writing would be more serious. So again, think of writing an email to a friend or your boss. You might include more jokey language, humorous language to your friend, include how you felt about certain things that happened, whether they were positive or negative. Whereas if you were writing about something to your boss, you are less likely to use that emotional language and have a jokey tone to it. Punctuation. So formal writing must have the correct punctuation, whereas informal writing, you'll see the use of dashes and dramatic punctuation, such as lots of exclamation marks. The use of a question mark and exclamation mark is quite common in informal writing. So that kind of thing. Language and grammar. Informal writing is more conversational and might use slang, abbreviations and contractions. So changing do not to don't, will not to won't, and so on. So it's more speech-like. Whereas formal writing will be precise, correct, and to the point. So any questions about formal and informal? Okay, so we've got a list of tasks here that you might be asked to write, and I want you to tell me if you think they should be formal or informal. So you can unmute yourself to tell me what you think. So number one, an email asking for a job application pack to be sent to you. Would that be a formal or informal email?
Formal.
Good. Formal, well done. Number two, an article for a local newspaper to persuade and encourage people in your area to take part in a litter pick. So formal or informal? So does anyone have any ideas? Have a go. So it's a bit of a trick one, this one, because it could be formal or informal. It's an article in a local newspaper. So you're trying to persuade people. So you might have some formal language in there, but also you want to make this appealing to people. You want them to join in. So you're probably going to use a mixture of formal and informal language. An email to a friend asking them to join you for a weekend, formal or informal?
Informal.
Good. Completing an online form to complain about poor service in a restaurant. That formal or informal? So a complaint, you're writing a complaint. So any ideas? Anyone want to have a go? So it's formal. So you want your complaint to be taken seriously. You want them to read it, and if it's written very informally, then they might not take it seriously, and they might address your complaint. Is there a question about that one? Did someone have a question? Okay. So an email to your boss asking for time off work.
It can be formal.
Good. Formal. And a comment in an online forum. So you're on a forum, possibly about football, for instance, and you're writing comments with other fans about your team's win that day. Is it going to be formal or informal?
It can be informal.
It will be informal.
Informal, yeah.
You're chatting with other people in an informal context. Okay, it's more speech-like. So an online forum is a way, it's like a conversation but online, so it's more speech-like. So what's the point? So every piece of writing should have a clear purpose, and the style you choose will help to convey this. So for example, the purpose of a letter in response to a job advertisement is to try to get a job, or at least an interview, and it's going to be formal. So let's have a look at this table and have a go at this activity. So we have the task, then the purpose, and again we need to decide, will that be formal or informal? So the first one, if you are given a task to write a positive article announcing the opening of a new theme park, the purpose of that task is to persuade people to visit. So will it be formal or informal? So let's look at the first one then together. So you're writing an article. It's an opening of a theme park. So you're going to give some details, possibly about the location, who's the company that's built it, what the different rides and experiences are at the theme park. and you're trying to persuade people. So it's going to be a more formal article. If we swap that round and it was a review of a new theme park, then it might be more informal. But for an article, it is formal. So the next one, a letter to the council complaining about the closure of a leisure centre. So it's a letter of complaint. And the purpose of that letter is to complain and to try and persuade the council to change their mind. So do you think that would be formal or informal?
Formal.
Formal, well done. A report giving sales figures and forecasts from your company. The purpose is to inform staff. So would that be formal or informal?
Formal.
Good. So it's a workplace document. That's usually going to be formal. And finally, a hotel review on a travel blog. To voice a personal opinion is the purpose. So do you think that would be formal or informal? So it's on a travel blog. So it's not a review in a magazine or a newspaper. It's an online blog. And it's just giving a personal opinion. So is that formal or informal?
Informal.
Good. Informal. So a blog is an informal style. Okay. It's generally one person's view or account of something. So you an experience that they've had that they're writing about. So a blog would most often be informal. So levels of formality. So you've been given a task to do, and after deciding whether it should be formal or informal, you need to decide the level of formality. So does it need to be highly formal or just partially formal? Could it be informal in places? So if you are writing a highly formal piece, then you will need to use complex structures, specialist words, impersonal language, and a serious tone. And an example of this would be a job application, a letter or email of complaint, or an email to your boss or a report. So they are highly formal writing, a text where you would need highly formal writing. Quite formal. So it would include similar language to the highly formal text, but there would be room for some cliches, colloquialisms, depending on the subject matter and audience. So examples of this are newspaper or newsletter articles, a press release or announcement, or a manual. Okay. So quite informal. So where the subject matter is less serious, but the audience still requires an element of formality. So for example, a newspaper or blog review, an advert, or a leaflet. And highly informal is where you would personally know the audience and or the subject isn't serious. So for example, writing to a friend, an email, text or letter, or a forum. So as I mentioned, an online forum tends to be very speech-like. It's an online conversation between people with similar interests. So it's informal, like a conversation. Okay, any questions about levels of formality? Okay, moving on. So you need to remember that levels of formality may change depending on the subject matter of the text and the audience. So what is it about and who is going to read it? So for example, a newspaper article about the rise in local crime, so that's the subject matter, should be more formal than that of a newsletter film review, or even a newspaper film review. So in the same newspaper, which has the same audience, the subject matter will dictate the level of formality. So a news report in the newspaper about local crime would be more formal than a film review in the same newspaper. So we're going to look at these examples and decide which one of the two is more formal. So an email to your new boss about taking time off, or an email to your long-term boss asking about her holidays. So which one is more formal?
An email to your new boss about time off.
Good. So the first one, the email to your new boss, is more formal. Can anybody tell me why? So why could you be less formal with a long-term boss?
Because the boss is no longer with the company as we speak.
Well, they might still be with the company, but it is about, so it's about the relationship, isn't it? So if you've worked with someone for a long time, then you might have a more friendly relationship because you've got to know each other over time. So you know she's been on holiday and you might be emailing her just to say, welcome back, how was the holiday? So it might be a bit more conversational in tone. But a new boss, so they are senior to you at work, they're your boss, and you don't know them very well. So you're trying to make a good impression, and so you're going to be more formal. Okay. So let's look at the next two examples. Which one is more formal? A forum comment on a new pop video, or a forum comment on an article about council tax rises? So which is more formal?
The second one.
Good. Okay. Do you know why, or could you suggest why?
Because it's an article which could appear in the newspaper.
So it's a comment about an article. Good. So
Yeah.
you might be on the website of the local newspaper and you're able to comment. There's a forum on there where you can comment on articles. So you but also if we look at the subject matter, council tax rises, it's more serious. So if the subject matter is more serious, it's more likely to be formal. Not always, but it's more likely that serious subject matters will have a higher level of formality. Okay. Text. So let's look at the next two. Which is more formal? A text or a document describing how to cook a lasagna, or a text or document teaching children how to cook cupcakes? So think about the audience. Which one would be more formal?
The second one.
So the one for children would be more formal.
Yes.
So why do you think that would need to be more formal?
Because of the age in question, the children.
Okay, so I can understand why you would think that, because you would perhaps think it needs to be really clear and give
Yeah.
really clear instructions because they
Yeah.
are younger. But,
Yeah.
and that does make sense. But what we often find is that if you look at a recipe book that's aimed at children or a recipe book aimed at adults, the one for adults would be more formal with just the ingredients and then the step-by-step instructions. But when you look at a recipe book for children, there would often be the recipe, but there might be a use of more informal punctuation. So you know, it might say something like, "This will taste great with the 3 or 4 exclamation marks." So yeah, so it's probably, if we think about the audience, then often text for children, such as magazine articles or recipes, will often be less formal, a more conversational or jokey style. So they might have opinions in there, or they might use direct address, such as "You're going to love this." Whereas in a recipe for adults, it's usually more formal. Okay. So does anyone have any questions about that? So it's important to remember the subject matter and the audience. So you need to think of both of those together to decide on how formal your writing should be. So as well as formality, we need to think about tone when we're writing, and these are often linked. So when we're talking about tone, we're thinking about, is it serious or fun? So a serious article will always be formal in nature. It will be impersonal, so it won't have that direct address normally. It will be complex. But if you were writing a fun article, it might break a few like grammar and punctuation rules, for example. It might have unusual text features like a big headline and use colloquial language. So another element of tone, is it optimistic or pessimistic? So the message, if you're writing an article on global warming, do you want to present an upbeat view of the future or a gloomy one? So are you going to be positive about the impact of people changing their behaviour, such as recycling and so on? Or are you going to be negative that it's already too late, and even if we do those things, they won't make much difference? So is it going to be optimistic or pessimistic? And another element of tone would be sarcastic or genuine. So you do need to take care with using sarcasm particularly, but in the right circumstances, a sarcastic tone could be helpful to make your point. So a letter of complaint could use sarcastic speech marks to make a point. Okay, so if we just, let me just show you an example of that. Make it a bit bigger so we can see it. So, for example, you're writing a letter of complaint about a restaurant. So you might write the excellent service advertised on your website was nothing of the sort. So these words excellent service, by putting them in inverted commas or speech marks, it makes it sarcastic. Okay, so it's saying you've said it's excellent service. I'm quoting you on that, but it wasn't excellent. So does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So let's have a look at these extracts and decide what tone we are using. So serious, fun, optimistic, pessimistic, sarcastic, or genuine. So the first one, with the right funding, I believe the council can improve the condition of our once beautiful parks to their former glory. So what tone is that extract? So is it serious, fun? Is it optimistic, pessimistic, sarcastic, or genuine?
Optimistic.
Excellent. So it's optimistic. Is it anything else? So
it's genuine.
Pardon?
It's genuine.
It's genuine.
And serious.
Good. Well done. So, yeah, so it's optimistic. The writer believes things can change.
Yeah.
It's genuine. Okay. We believe that the writer believes what they're writing, and it's serious. Okay, because obviously there's an issue with the parks. Good. Well done. Okay, the next one. This film, or so-called mockumentary, is one in a long line of this genre, which I have to say has been done to death. So again, what's the tone? So serious, fun, optimistic, pessimistic, sarcastic, genuine. So it might be one or more of those things. So we can see it's got inverted commas or speech marks there.
Sarcastic.
So that indicates, well done, that there is sarcasm there. So sarcastic. Good. Anything else? Is it
Pessimistic.
could we use optimistic or pessimistic or sarcastic or serious or fun for this?
We could use serious and
Yeah.
pessimistic. Yeah.
We could, yeah, we could use both of those.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah. So it's we've got the sarcasm there, mockumentary in inverted commas. It's serious, so it sounds like a serious sentence that there's not, you know, it's quite serious language that's been used, and it's pessimistic. It's saying that it's not great, this film. It's negative. It's been done to death. There's too many like this already. So it's pessimistic about the film. Well done. Finally, you'll love this new flavour milkshake. It comes in 3, count them, 3 flavours: chocoholic, nutty nut and super straw. So serious fun, optimistic, pessimistic, sarcastic, genuine. What can we say about the tone here?
I would say fun.
Fun. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you'll love it. So it's fun. Okay. We've also got the 3 exclamation marks at the end, so it's fun. Okay, and it thinks that people are going to love something, or it's telling them they're going to love it. So is that optimistic or pessimistic? Positive or negative?
Optimistic, positively.
Yeah, so it's optimistic or positive. And have we got sarcasm, or can we say it's genuine? I think we don't need to use one of those on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more like
fun. Fun. It has
yeah,
to be,
so it's more like
it's
an
a kid,
advert.
Yeah.
And so rather than genuine, sarcastic, there's no sarcasm in there, but it's difficult with an advert. Is it genuine? Well, of course they believe in it, do they, or are they just trying to make us buy something? So we don't need to really comment on that, but it's definitely fun and optimistic. Okay, well done. So let's have a look here. The register, the formality and the tone. So that's what register refers to. So what's the style of this text? Hi Joe, just wondering if you're coming out later tonight, mate. We're going to meet in the cafe on the square at 7. The table is booked at the restaurant for 8. I really hope you can make it. It's been too long. It'll be really good to catch up. We can't wait to hear about your new job too. Email or text to let me know. Hope to see you later. So what comments can you make about the register? So the formality and the tone. So is it formal or informal? So let's think about formality first.
Informal.
Excellent. How do you know it's informal?
Because he's writing email to a friend.
Good.
Or
So, yeah.
to a friend.
Yeah, so it's like an email or text to a friend, isn't it? What else can you tell me about this? So the tone, the formality, and so on.
Tone of a friend just to catch a form, and so
the greeting at the start, is that formal or informal?
Is informal.
Good.
Informal, yeah.
Excellent. So if it was formal, if it was to an email to someone's boss, for example, it would say dear, but it says hi Joe. And usually if it was a letter, we would need a comma after that greeting as well. But because it's informal and we know it's informal, we can see there that there's punctuation throughout is not necessarily formal, what we would use in a formal text or document. What else shows us it's informal and a more fun tone? So look at the language that's used.
Genuine.
Pardon?
It's genuine.
It's genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is genuine. It's someone wanting to meet up with their friend. Good. What about the use of language? What can you tell me? What comments can you make about the language in this email or text? Is there anything you notice? So something that's really informal about it.
It's fun to
Punctuation, how it's punctuated.
Yeah, how it's punctuated. So we've got the exclamation mark there. It's not really needed. Yeah, so we've got contractions. Okay. So let me just this one. So there. So we've got contractions. So not we are. It's instead of it has. We've got that exclamation mark. Any words that we would not have in a formal document?
We can't wait to hear about your new job.
Good. So we've got can't, contraction again. What about to? Would we write to like that?
No.
No. So extending that word, that's extremely informal, isn't it? Okay, it's more, it's the type of thing we see in an informal text or email. Okay, let's have a look here. So we've got informal greeting that we spotted. Some sentences aren't complete. So, for example, the first sentence, if it was formal, we'd have I was just wondering. Okay, and so on. So just missing maybe the beginning that we would of a sentence we might use in a formal text. So contractions and to, we've spotted those. Slang, so we've got gonna, so instead of going to, and spotted that as well, the exclamation mark. So anything else anyone wants to say or ask about this text? Okay, so again, identify the register, the formality and tone. So I'll read it through. What can you tell me about it? On the banks of the beautiful Truro River, Truro is a delightful city near the southwest coast with intriguing museums, fascinating galleries, and enchanting river cruises. Visitors enjoy delicious food and wine experiences, and the city is close to gorgeous beaches too. For breathtaking panoramas of the river and beyond, stroll along the footpaths and stop at Trelliset Gardens. Wide River is popular for fishing, boating and kayaking and river cruises. Truro is a great place to visit. We hope to see you soon. So any comments you have about this? So is it formal or informal?
Formal.
Good, it's formal. Okay, we've got correct punctuation and grammar. We've not got those contractions that we saw in the last piece. The language is formal as well. What else can you tell me about it? What about the tone? Can you tell me anything about whether it's serious, fun, optimistic, pessimistic, sarcastic, or genuine? So is it a positive or negative piece about Truro?
It's a positive one,
Good.
and it's a genuine article.
Yes, it is. It's genuine. There's no sarcasm. It's optimistic. It's positive about this place, Truro. Okay. Well done. So it's got formal language and tone, the correct punctuation and grammar. There's no contractions. There's adjectives and interesting language which indicate a persuasive text. So they want us to go and visit this place. So they're using the interesting language and adjectives to try and persuade us to try and see this place as a desirable place to visit. And it's optimistic and upbeat. At the same time, it's formal and it's a serious, genuine piece. Good, well done. So in your assessment, your writing will be marked on your use of register, so the tone and the formality, to fully suit its audience and purpose. And the register is the correct mix of all aspects of your writing, so your language, formality, style, vocabulary, and supporting evidence. So we've looked at language, formality and style, and we're now going to move on to supporting evidence and specialist vocabulary. So the supporting evidence used will depend on the type and purpose of the audience. So we're going to look at these examples of types of writing and think about what evidence would be appropriate. So supporting evidence might be time and dates of events, or something like a quote from a source. Okay, so if you are emailing for a job, what would you need to include? What details would you need to include? So what information about yourself would you need to include in that email? What would the employer want to know about you?
Qualification.
Excellent. Qualifications. So let's have a look for this first one. Well done, qualifications. So your work history, your skills and abilities, your qualifications, well done, and what you're doing now, your current role. So the next one, you're emailing a friend about a night out. What details or evidence would you need to include?
Time.
Good, the time.
Venue.
Good, time and place. So
Yeah.
the arrangements, times, places, dates, and so on, possibly who else is coming. Well done. An online complaint about bad customer service. So you are complaining about a shop, about bad customer service. What will the manager need to know so that they can deal with your complaint?
So, the reason.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah.
And what else, so that they can make sure they investigate it? What else might they need to know?
Time.
Yeah, the time when it happened.
Yeah.
Good. So dates and times of incidents, examples. So what happened? So well done. Yes. And the names of people involved. Yeah. Well done. So an email to your boss about taking holiday. So what do you need to tell your boss? What details or evidence do you need to include?
Time to go, time to return back to work.
Yeah, so when the dates and when
Yeah.
and possibly the
Yeah.
reason why.
Yeah.
A forum comment about dog fouling in the local park. So what might you include? What details or evidence might you include?
Situation, the condition of what the after of the filing.
Yeah.
Evidence
So
of it. Yeah.
yes, so your experience, other
Yeah.
people's experience, how it, how it makes people feel,
Yeah.
their reactions to it, and why it might be happening. Good. A newspaper article about rising house prices. So what details or evidence are you going to include?
The price of the house.
Yeah, the house prices. So the price increases, statistics about that, quotes and comments from people affected. Where, so be precise about where this is. Okay, it could be a national newspaper, you need to say the city or the town. It could be a local newspaper, so maybe you need to talk about the street. So it's, again, thinking fully about the audience. A blog film review. So what evidence or details about the film will you need? So what do you need to include in your review?
Facts and figures.
So you could include facts and figures, yes. So how many people have seen it, how much money the film has made, or how much it costs to make. What else will people need to know? So they read your review, they hear it's a really good film, and they want to go and see it. What do they need to know?
How interesting the film is.
Yeah, so so how interesting it is, the person's opinion, but they'll need the title, won't they?
The title.
Also,
Okay.
very often in film reviews, the length of the film, how long it is, have they got time to go and see it? The cast, the rating, so what age is it appropriate for? And you often find as well some quotes from the film. A financial report, what evidence or details?
Figures.
Yeah, facts and figures, trends and patterns.
Diagrams and appendix.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a really good example, well done, of where you might have diagrams, visuals to help people, the readers, understanding. A recipe. What do we need to include so people can make this recipe successfully?
Ingredients.
The ingredients. Yeah. What else do we need?
The content.
So by the content, what do you mean by the content?
Method.
So it could be
Menu.
the nutritional value, could be,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, or so ingredients, tips and hints, why certain methods should be followed. And sometimes we have the nutritional information. Okay. A complaint letter to your MP about local traffic congestion.
Your experience, other people's experiences.
Yes. So include opinions or quotes. How will the MP know where the congestion is?
The area.
Good. So you need to include where it's happening.
Yeah.
So examples, when and what, why, so can't speak now, where, when and why. Statistics. So again, it might be useful in your complaint letter to have some kind of graph or chart if that's available. A science article about a drop in domestic bird population.
Figures,
Good.
statistics.
So if we're talking about population, then we're going to have figures. Ooh. So statistics, figures, quotes, and paraphrasing from relevant sources. Theme park opening leaflet. So what details or evidence would we have in the leaflet?
Time, dates.
Good. Times,
month,
dates.
amounts.
Yeah, amount, how much does it cost to get in?
Yeah.
Also attractions, what rides are there at the theme park, any offers, and other facilities. Okay, so moving on, specialist words. Remember to use the correct words depending on the task at hand. So look at the word groups and decide where you might use them. So our choices of documents or text are job application, a music review, an email to your boss about holidays, a complaint letter to a restaurant, a report on sales figures, and a guide on making a cabinet. And we need to look at these word groups and decide which one you would use them in. Which of these text types would we use a group of words? So let's look at the first one. Appalled, unacceptable, inappropriate. So which one of these text types would we use those words in?
We can use it in a complaint letter.
Oh, yeah. So in a complaint.
And
Not sure why it's not letting me draw a line. Let's try this. Yeah,
we can
so
use it in a report as well, depending.
Probably not a report on sales figures,
Okay.
but it could be in a different type of report. Yes, yeah, that's right. Let's look at the next one. In regards to qualifications, skills. So which one of these would we use those in?
Job application.
Excellent. Yeah. So a job application. So excellent, recommend, disappointing.
Job application.
So it's if we've already got a matching one,
yes, okay,
then it
so
won't be that one. So we can rule those two out, a complaint and a job application. So if you're recommending something, what type of a music review, an email to your boss, report, or a guide? If you're recommending something, you're saying it's either excellent or disappointing. You're giving an opinion and you recommend.
Music review.
Good. So a review. Trend, pattern, increase, decrease, as much as. So sounds like they're describing figures, statistics. So which one of those that we've got left? We've got an email to your boss, a report on sales figures, or a guide to making a cabinet. So which one of those would be talking about statistics, trends, patterns, and so on?
Report selling.
Yeah, so a sales report. So how much of the sales increased or decreased? Is there a pattern between different products and when they were on sale? Have we got any trends we can see between last year and this year, and so on? So then next, remember, always, drill, sort. So is that an email to your boss or a guide on cabinet making?
A guide on
The
cabinet.
guide.
Okay, so we've got those command verbs. Remember, drill, saw. If I could, for the period, appreciate. So we've only got one left. It's an email to your boss, so it's formal language requesting holiday. Okay, well done. Okay, so we've got our quiz to end with. So any questions before we move on to our quiz to finish? Okay, so you should use an informal style when you want to be persuasive, write an email, don't know which punctuation to use, or know the audience well. When should you use an informal style?
D.
Good, D. So, yeah, so it's when you know the audience well. So writing an email, it's a bit of a trick one there, because often we do write emails that are informal, but not always. So that was a bit of a trick. You're correct, it is D. So when we know the audience well. So you should use a formal writing style for, or to, your boss, anyone you don't know well, your bank manager, or B, C, and D. So when should you write formally? Is it all of those, or is it just your boss, anyone you don't know well, or your bank manager?
B.
B. So
It's
A. So your boss is correct, but so is this. So is when you don't know someone, and so is your bank manager. So it is B, but it's also C, which means is the answer, because it's all of those. So in writing, tone refers to correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar, the layout of the text, the purpose of the text, or the way language is used to achieve an effect.
D.
Good. So how the language is used. So you've received an email from a friend. Which response isn't appropriate? So A, hey, sounds like a plan. I'll meet you and the others later. B, great, looking forward to seeing you later. C, I am delighted to inform you that I will be able to attend this evening. Or D, hi, that's a good plan. I'll meet you at the cafe. So which one of those would you not use to reply to your friend? So if you're emailing a friend, is it going to be formal or informal?
Informal.
Informal, good. So which one of those is formal? That's the one we shouldn't use for a friend. C. Well done. So C is formal. We wouldn't use such a formal response replying to a friend. So we might say, hey, sounds like a plan. Or we might say, that's a good plan, I'll meet you there, or great. But we wouldn't say to our friend, I am delighted to inform you that I will be available to attend this evening. That would be a formal response, possibly to a formal invitation, possibly it could be a work event. Okay, well done. You've received a complaint from a customer. Which response is not appropriate? So a complaint, would that be formal or informal? If you are an employee responding to a complaint, would you write a formal or informal reply?
Formal.
Formal. So we're looking for a formal, so we want to find the one that's not appropriate. So we're looking for an informal reply that we would not use. So is it, we regret this order is late. The goods will be with us tomorrow when we will dispatch. Is it B, we're sorry for the late delivery. The parcel will be with you on Friday. Is it C, please accept our apologies for the delay. The parcel will be posted today. Or is it D, sorry your order's late. Our supplier's always slow. We'll get it to you ASAP. So we're looking for an informal response that is not appropriate.
D.
Sorry, which one?
D.
D, good, yes. So we wouldn't use that abbreviation ASAP, and we'd give more information about the delivery like the other responses. Well done. Okay, well done everyone. So thank you for your contributions.
Thank you.
Any questions before we finish? No? Okay, so I shall see you next time then. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.